Hey foodie friends, so today we're going to make an Ube Tres Leches cake. Now, let's get saucy. Alright foodie friends, like I said, an Ube Tres Leches cake. So I've already got started here. My oven is preheated to 350. I've got a 9x13 pan already greased and ready to go. And I've separated 7 eggs. So I've got my egg yolks in one bowl and my whites in my stand mixer bowl. To my yolks, I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. And I'm just going to give those a good whisk. You could do this with a hand mixer or with your stand mixer if you have one, if you wanted to. I only have 1 bowl for my stand mixer and I don't have a hand mixer, so let's give this a good whisk until it's well incorporated, becomes like a pale yellow color. So once I finish that up, we'll come back and get the rest going. All right, so this is good and mixed, nice and pale yellow, kind of ribbony. So I'm gonna set this to the side for just a minute, and then in another small bowl here, I have 2 cups of flour. I'm gonna add in 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and just give that a quick mix to evenly distribute that salt and baking powder throughout my flour. So that's done, and you can set that aside. All right, so now that those are both together, I've got 3/4 cup of whole milk here, to which I'm going to add some ube extract or ube flavoring here. So you can see that. You can find this at your local Asian market if you have one, or I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. So I'm gonna go about 2 teaspoons of this. So that's about 2 teaspoons. And get this off my hands before they stay purple. All right, just gonna give this a quick mix together as well. Look at that really deep purple color. So that's really pretty. All right, so now we're going to, in alternating batches, add our milk and ube extract and our flour into our egg yolk mixture here. So about 1/3 at a time. I'm gonna start with some of my milk. Whisk that in. Don't want to go too vigorously at first, otherwise you're going to splash that everywhere. So get that mixed in. And then add in some of our flour mixture. All right, so I'm just going to keep doing this, and once that is all incorporated, we'll come back and whip up our egg whites. Less of that, so I'm scrape that out. Make sure I get all that ube flavoring in there. And then the last addition of our flour. This smells really good already. You can smell that ube. It's kind of like a vanilla almost scent to it. And look at that beautiful color, right? So I'm gonna scrape this whisk off, get all of that batter back into the bowl, and give this a quick scrape down the sides just to make sure I have all of my flour well incorporated. And then we are going to whip up our egg whites. So once that is done, we will fold them together, and then we're gonna bake this for 25 to 35 minutes, just until the cake tester in the center comes out clean. So it's a quick scrape. Looks like everything is really well incorporated. I don't see any more dry bits of flour. So we'll set this off to the side and whip up our egg whites. So we're just gonna whip up these egg whites until we have like soft peaks. It doesn't need to be firm peaks. So pop this on my stand mixer and start it out at low until it becomes a little frothy, and then move it up to high and get it really nice and okay. So I just did all of that with my mic not plugged in, so plugged in my mic now, and You'll fix the sound on the beginning of that, but I've got my egg whites in my stand mixer, starting it off on low until it gets kind of frothy, and then I'm gonna bump it up to high and get them to soft peak. All right, so our egg whites are getting good and glossy here, and let me just check. Yeah, that's at like a nice kind of soft peak. So we're gonna go ahead now and fold this into our mixture. So now fold these whipped egg whites into here very gently, about a third at a time or so that we can get a nice light sponge. So this will help to really get a nice fluffy light cake that our soak is going to really soak into. So this first part of ube is the ube extract here that I put in my cake. The second part is going to be in the soak. I just happened to find an ube sweetened condensed milk when I was at the Asian market, and as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, I'm gonna make this cake. So I have that here that's going to go into our soak after our cake bakes. Just gently folding down through the center and up around the bottom of the bowl, keeping as much air in those egg whites as you can. You don't want to do this vigorously or too much because you don't want to deflate it. You want that really nice lift and softness of this cake from the whipped egg whites in here. You know, our baking powder is giving us some leavening, but we're also getting a lot of air from these egg whites, which is why our cake's going to be super light, and it's going to help to absorb all of that soak that we put on it too. Okay, so that looks good. We're not seeing any more egg whites visible in here, any streaks or anything. So like I said, I've got a 9x13 pan here that I just greased with some vegetable oil. You can use cooking spray, you can use butter if you want to. I just have a sprayer full of oil that I use to coat this with. So I'm gonna get our cake in here and just give it a quick smooth out on the top, and then it's gonna go in the oven. Again, it's already preheated to 350. It's gonna go in 25, 30, maybe 35 minutes, just like I said, until a cake tester or toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. And once that is done, we will come back and mix up our milks to soak it with and get it soaking. Okay, foodie friends, so our cake is out of the oven. It ended up taking about 30 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and poke some holes all over the top with my skewer here. You can use a fork to do this. You could use a bigger skewer, whatever you've got, but just want to get some holes all over the top of the cake so that when we pour the milk mixture over, it can soak down into the cake, get it all around the sides and everything. So I'm just going to continue doing this, and then we'll mix up our milks when I'm done. All right, so I think that's pretty good. I've got a bunch of holes in the top of my cake. So now what I have here, I have 1 cup of heavy cream, and to that I'm adding 1 can of evaporated milk. And then, like I said, I have this ube flavored sweetened condensed milk that I found at my local Asian market. So that's going in here too. It's a beautiful dark purple, and I gave it a quick little taste, and it's absolutely delicious. It's got that vanilla-y ube flavor that also kind of has a little bit of a background of coconut to it. I'm gonna give this a quick mix up, make sure everything's well incorporated with all of our milks mixed together. And you know, if you can't find the ube condensed milk, you could, if you have the ube extract, just add some more ube extract to this. I think that the ube condensed milk is going to give it a little bit more flavor, but yeah, just add a couple more teaspoons of your ube extract if you have that to this. I mean, instead of the ube extract, just use vanilla and just make a regular tres leches cake. But you know, I think this is going to be super delicious, and I love ube. I know it's really popular over the last few years, and it's something that I've been enjoying for quite a long time now. So this is good and well combined, and now we're just going to slowly pour it all over the top of the cake. The cake is still warm, it just came out of the oven, so it's really gonna soak up this milk mixture. Make sure it gets to the sides, especially, and just do this slowly and get all of that on there. And you're gonna think that this is way too much, but it's gonna go in the fridge and it's gonna sit for at least 4 hours, best overnight, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to wait overnight. So just as long as you can let it sit so it really soaks up all this milk mixture. I'm gonna finish this up, and then, like I said, we'll get this in the fridge, and we'll come back when it has absorbed all this milk. All right, foodie friends, so our cake has been in the fridge soaking for about 4 hours. It's soaked up all of that milk mixture, so we're gonna make a whipped topping for it real quick. So I'm just going into my stand mixer with 2 cups of heavy cream. Now I'm not adding any sugar to this because our cake is gonna be plenty sweet, but if you wanted to, you could add, you know, a couple tablespoons, a quarter cup of powdered sugar or something to this to sweeten that up a little bit, but I don't think it really needs it. Pop this down, start it off on low, let it start to froth up a bit, and then we'll bump it up to high and whip this until we get some firm peaks. All right, so we've got a nice good stiff peak on this. So we're just gonna go ahead and top our cake with this whipped cream. Throw it all on here and spread it out. Get it all the way to the edges and kind of smooth it out. Make a little design if you want to, leave it rustic, however you want to do it. I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out as best as possible, maybe leave some little swoops in it, and that's it. So there is our beautiful Tres Leches cake. I'm gonna go ahead, grab a spatula and get a slice. There we go, our beautiful Ube Tres Leches cake. So soft. That is absolutely delicious. It's got all that milk soaked in there. It's so soft, so creamy. That ube flavor, kind of vanilla-y with a little bit of like a coconutty background to it. This is absolutely delicious. You guys are definitely gonna wanna make this. There will be a link to the full written recipe in the description box below. As always, thank you for joining me here on Getting Saucy with Chef Lynn. You can follow me across all social media at Chef Lynn Wheeler. My website is cheflynnwheeler.com. That's where you'll find this recipe and most of my other recipes. And remember, keep exploring, keep tasting, and keep celebrating the flavors that bring us together. See you next time.